Hey, welcome. So, you're an entrepreneur and you've poured your heart and soul into a brilliant idea. But there's always that nagging question, right? The one that keeps you up at night. Is this idea actually big enough to build a real business on? Well, today, we're going to tackle that head on by diving into an awesome guide from MIT that gives you the exact tools to answer that question with confidence. So, let's just put it right out there. The fundamental question every single founder has to answer. Is your big idea big enough? And look, this isn't just about ego or ambition. It's about strategy. It's about survival. By the end of this, you're not just going to feel like you have the answer. You're going to have a solid number to prove it. All right, here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to find our North Star, basically why this number matters so much. Then, we'll define exactly what we're aiming for, something called the beachhead TAM. After that, we'll get our hands dirty with the two main ways to calculate it, the bottom-up method and the top-down sanity check. And finally, we'll talk about how to actually put this powerful number to work. So, first up, your market's North Star. Let's talk about why this whole exercise is so important right from day one. You know, this quote from the guide really says it all. Your total addressable market, or TAM as you'll hear it called, it's not just some vanity metric you throw on a pitch deck to look good. No way. Think of it as your strategic North Star. It's the ultimate sanity check that tells you, yes, you're pointed at a target that's actually worth hitting. Okay, so before we can start crunching any numbers, we need to be crystal clear on what we're even calculating. And that brings us to a really key idea from the MIT guide, the beachhead TAM. Here it is, plain and simple. Your TAM is the total pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It's the maximum amount of money, the total annual revenue you could possibly make if you somehow captured every single customer in your specific initial target market. It's always measured in dollars, or whatever your currency is, per year. Oh man, this slide right here captures such a common trap. It is so tempting to just pull a massive pie-in-the-sky number out of a hat because you think it'll impress investors. But trust me, that number will fall apart the second someone pokes at it. The real goal, the right goal, is to build a conservative, totally defensible number that you, your team, and your future investors can actually believe in. All right, let's get our hands dirty. How do we actually calculate this number? We're going to start with the most credible and respected method, the bottom-up calculation. What's great about the bottom-up approach is how straightforward it is. It really just boils down to these three simple steps. Step 1, you count the actual number of potential customers who fit your perfect profile. Step 2, you figure out how much money you can realistically make from each of them in a year. And step 3, you guessed it, you just multiply those two numbers together, and boom, that's your TAM. Now, the real power of this method is that it is grounded in reality. It forces you to do the hard work, the primary market research, digging through customer lists, industry data, whatever you can find, to literally count your potential customers one by one. This gives you tangible proof, not just a wild guess, and that is exactly what serious investors want to see. Okay, let's make this super concrete with an example. Imagine your startup is for a very specific type of mother in the US. You do your homework and you find there are 6.3 million of them. You figure they'll probably buy 4 consultations a year at about $8 a pop, which works out to roughly $32 per user per year. You multiply 6.3 million users by $32 and bam, you land on a total addressable market of about $201 million a year. See, it's just simple math based on real research. Now, once you've got that bottom-up number, you can't just stop. You need to double-check it to make sure it's solid. And this is where the top-down analysis comes in. Think of it as the essential sanity check to make sure your work is legit. The whole idea here is an inverted pyramid. So instead of building up from individual customers like we just did, you do the opposite. You start with a huge, broad market number from some industry report, and then you just start carving it down, getting more and more specific. So, sticking with our example, you'd start at the very top of the pyramid, the entire US population, something like 300 million people. That's our starting universe. And from that massive number, you just start applying your filters. I mean, you're not targeting everyone, right? So you start whittling it down. Okay, we only want mothers. Now, only mothers with 2 or more kids who are also college educated and are active internet users. You just keep applying all the criteria from your customer profile. After you've applied all of those filters, you'll arrive at a final number of end users. And here's where the magic happens. If you've done your research well for both methods, this top-down number should be really, really close to your bottom-up number. In this case, it's 6.3 million, a perfect match. That's the confirmation. That's the sanity check that tells you your number is solid. So, you've done the math, you've run the sanity check, and you have this awesome, defensible number. Now what? What do you actually do with it? Let's talk about the so what, how this number becomes a truly powerful tool for your startup. Look, it's so important to remember this isn't just an academic exercise. Having a well-researched TAM proves you have a deep, real understanding of your market. It gives you incredible credibility with potential advisors and investors, convincing them that you know what you're talking about. And honestly, it's just a fundamental building block for creating a successful product and a lasting company. We have covered a lot. The what, the why, and the how of calculating your TAM. But I want to leave you with one final, really important question to think about as you move forward with your big idea. Your total addressable market assumes you get 100% of the market, which, let's be honest, is never realistic. So the final question to chew on is this: why are real-world revenues always less than the TAM? Really thinking through that answer, thinking about competition, how fast people adopt new things, and all the other real-world factors, that's what's going to take you to the next level of strategic thinking.